guys, Jennifer Priest here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that we're able to do this. I hope that it's working. I'm going to just open up my notes really quick. I literally just got in from Mom 2.0 conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, or Mom 2.0 Summit. Super fun. And I was like, we're trying to get here in time for me to do my show. So it's a little late today. But I'm here. So I'm really, really glad to be here doing this. And I just want to open up my show notes so I can talk about um, what I want to talk about today. So today I'm going to be talking about how I lost over 100 pounds and cured over 50 different health conditions. Really, something magical that happened in my life for almost 4 years ago now. And it's kind of come full circle because during COVID, right, we weren't going to conferences. I wasn't going to events and things. And it's been really nice to go to conferences, refreshing, interesting, um, validating to go to conferences and see people that I've known for years finally in person. And they're like, oh my God, I followed your journey. Oh my gosh, you look so amazing. You're sparkling, you're glowing, like you're moving really well. Like this is so cool and it's so inspiring. And that part is all really, really great. And the other side of that, that's also really interesting is how people have opened up to me about their health issues, their struggles with their weight, um, the health concerns they have. I actually had a really long conversation today with another blogger, an app developer, and she was sharing with me, I had these health concerns. They make me be, I'm sick 5 days out of the week. I don't know what it's going to happen when I wake up each morning, if it's going to be a good day or a bad day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Right. I remember that. So I'm going to tell you guys where I started, where I am, where I got to, where I am now, how I maintain this, and then what I did to achieve the changes in my life and health. So, first, I'm going to tell you where I started. So, back in probably my whole life, actually, I've been overweight. I struggled with this as a kid. I got in the army, and even in the army, I was overweight. So I had to do what they called like a body fat tape testing. So in the army, they wanted me to weigh, I think it was 125 pounds. The lowest I ever got was 138. And I just couldn't get smaller. But I did pass the body fat tape testing until I didn't, and then I got out. And while I was in the army, when I was 18, I got a knee injury. And after I got out of the army at 20, every year I put on, 5, 10 pounds until, fast forward to my mid 30s, I was, in the over 200 pounds, sometimes in the 300-pound range. Um, and I started having all these health things come up. So I've been a disabled veteran since I got out of the military for multiple reasons. And I ended up with a handicap placard, a cane, a walker. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a chronic immune related health condition where you have like full body pain or pain in different areas of your body, numbness, exhaustion, brain fog. And so they put me on medication for that. And sorry, there's like a hair in my eye. And then I also had a lot of other like more mind and so then I also, after I had my son when I was 29, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. So I had the mask that you have to put on and couldn't sleep anywhere but in my bed with the mask. If I wanted to sleep on the couch, I had to bring the mask and the machine. And traveling and speaking at conferences like I do, it was really frustrating because you'd have to open the machine up and have it go through the x-ray machine at TSA and with people's shoes and nasty stuff, and then you put this thing on your face and have to breathe. So every time I travel, I'd have to go find a store and find vinegar and wash out my machine with vinegar, and I have to carry it around, and it's just really inconvenient ordering parts for it, right? You got to clean it out because it's respiratory. So if it's gross, right, then you get sick. I had chronic sinus infections. I was always using a neti pot and on antibiotics for years, like literally decades. I was on antibiotics at least once a month for most of my life. Chronic allergies, skin conditions, skin rashes, chronic dandruff, chronic cystic acne all over my chin and my nose and stuff. Just there's so many things, and they all happened over time, right? Over a couple of decades. It's like, oh, this year this thing's happening, and it just kind of added and created this laundry list of health conditions that were happening in me. In addition to that consistent weight gain over time, and in 2019, I found myself in this really interesting dynamic within my own life. I was speaking on stage at Social Media Marketing World. I'd been invited. It was really an awesome thing for my career, right? It was something I wanted to achieve. I was very proud of myself. I had a membership. I was selling that. People were joining it. I was helping people in their businesses. I had my blog. I was working in the craft industry. I had lots and lots of really cool things going on professionally. And I was really struggling when I was going to conferences because my feet were killing me, my back was hurting, my body was hurting. And I was just have to like power through. I wouldn't be able to eat sometimes at conferences because I was worried that my irritable bowel syndrome would act up. And it was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have a good day or a bad day, right? So when that lady was sharing that with me this morning, I was like, oh, I've been there, right? I know. Like, am I gonna be able to function at this thing? I didn't drink alcohol at all. I couldn't handle it because I would just get really sick all the time. And so, um, there was all that stuff interfering, the health stuff interfering with me professionally, but I still felt like I was doing really, really well. My private life was falling apart, right? My marriage was very strained. My relationship with my kids was very, very lots of tension in it. Um, lots of animosity, resentment, those kind of things. And my health was absolutely falling apart. So I'm speaking on the stage and I'm coughing and my voice is going away. And a couple of days later, I go to another conference. This was a period where I had like, I'm going to say there were 5 conferences in 3 weeks. I was speaking at 4 of them or 3 of them. And it was just really, really intense. And I was cranky. I was angry. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I just was really dang miserable. And I still managed to put a smile on my face, but it was kind of that smile of like, it was like forced. Um, I wasn't genuinely happy, and I knew that. And so I'm in the process of all this stuff, and I end up going to a mastermind that I was a part of, and I met a coach. And when I met that coach, he kind of saw some things in me that I couldn't see in myself. And we had a great conversation, and he was very vibrant, and he was making money, and he seemed very healthy. And I mean, a lot of the things that I am now. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And he was genuinely took an interest in me. And so we started talking. And that night, I ended up going to the ER. Um, I was missing parts of that mastermind because I was coughing so much that I was peeing my pants and I was disrupting the conference. So I kept stepping outside, and so I missed a lot. And what ended up happening is I had walking pneumonia and bronchitis. And I was so sick I couldn't drive myself to the hospital. My ex-husband had to drive down, pick me up from the conference and go take me to the ER. So, fast forward a few months, I ended up working with the coach, and I had read a book earlier in the year called The Obesity Code that my friend Sarah Mueller from Decluttering Club, um, she introduced me to that book, and I read it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this makes sense, right? Why I haven't been losing weight and blah blah blah." And so over those 6 or so months, I lost, maybe 10, 15 pounds, but I had been at like 340 pounds, right? I think was at my heaviest. And I was really scared to even get on the scale. I just didn't want to know, you know, I just didn't want to know. I just knew I was miserable. And around that time, probably about a year before that is when I was at another conference, and my weight has always been an issue for me. Okay. And anyone that has struggled with weight, I'm I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to relate to this, right? You've tried so many things. You've tried shaming yourself, like, oh, you shouldn't eat that, right? You hear someone's voice from your family or a friend or society in your head, like, oh, you just got to eat less and move more. I hear Michelle Obama. I know people love Michelle Obama, but Michelle Obama, eat less, move more. And I'm like, if it was that easy, we all would freaking do it, right? Nobody would be fat. That's not what the problem is. And so I tried every different kind of diet, right? South Beach, Atkins, Weight Watchers, points on Weight Watchers. I've tried every iteration of Weight Watchers. Um, when I went and got into the army, oh my God, there's the most beautiful bird outside, you guys. It's like a bright orange with blue on its back. It's so pretty. Okay. Sorry, I'm distracted. So I tried, when I was going to the army, I was only eating like 500 calories a day because my grandma was crazy in a diet culture. And so she was like, I'm going to help you get in the army. So I've tried so many things, eating multiple times a day, cabbage soup diet, like anyone who's been dealing with weight all their life, I'm sure you can relate to this, right? We try really freaking hard. Like, it's so funny because I wrote this post about like, something about like, stop talking about fat people or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's on my blog on SmartFun DIY. Um, because like, we know we're overweight, right? We deal with this is our body. We see it every day. We feel it. We move. We got rolls. We try to bend over in the shower. We're washing. We know. We know. Right? It's something we deal with every day. Can't move the way that we want to. Can't, reach the things that we want to reach, that kind of thing. And so in 2018, I was at a conference and I was going to the bathroom and the zipper in my pants busted because I had gained so much weight. I needed to go up another size. And anyone who's dealt with weight knows what that feels like when you're like, oh my God, I have to go up another size. So I asked my ex-husband, I said, and my underwear was really tight too. I was like, man, I need new underwear too. So I went and I got new underwear. And then my ex-husband was like, let's go to the mall and we'll get you a new pair of pants. And so we go to the mall and I go to the store that I normally go to. It's a plus size store. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm in size 26. I think I need another size up. Do you guys have that? You have size 28?" And they're like, "No, you need to go to this other even bigger person store." And I just cried because it was just so awful. And I bought the most hideous, ugly pants because in size 28, they just don't carry a lot of that in the store. A lot of those sizes start to be special order, which makes you just feel even worse because you're like, I can't even go to the store and buy clothes. Like, it's just awful. And so I'm wearing these size 28 pants and I'm just feeling terrible about myself. And I even looked into weight loss surgery. I have a whole blog post on SmartFun DIY talking about this. And what I want to really talk about on this um, broadcast is more of what I didn't talk about on my DIY blog. A lot of reasons for that. I wasn't quite ready to share all of these things with you guys. And I was a little concerned, right? Because some of the stuff that I share could affect my ad revenue and things like that. So I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff here that I didn't put there. But I wanted to kind of set the stage of where I was. So I hire this coach, I start working with them, and we go and do this process that is a process I'm actually getting certified in this year. Really excited about it because I want to help other people with this, right? I think it's very important. Like, it's not required that if someone's coaching you or guiding you through something that they've been where you are, but I think and I think that when it's something like this, right? The health problems, the weight gain, all of that, the mobility issues, it is really helpful if that person has been there before. And so I thought long and hard about this. Last year, it became very clear to me. I really absolutely want to help other people who are ready and who want to do this, right? It's not for everybody. Um, to do the same type of transformation I did, right? Getting rid of all this stuff. And so that's what I've been doing is a lot of intense work, getting certifications, getting training, learning how to do this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a combination of things because there are um if you were to do any one of these things on its own, it might get you results, but I'm also going to tell you why it was challenging. So I read the obesity code in like January, February 2019. I met the coach in March of 2019. And then in September of 2019 is when I really started to lose the weight. So from March to about September, I lost maybe 15, 20 pounds. Okay. Doing low carb, high fat. That's what the obesity code talks about. In that book, the author goes into the science behind why we're gaining weight, especially if you're doing the standard American diet, and what the science is behind how to lose the weight, right? How to get your body to start accessing the fat that it has stored and using that for energy rather than relying on you eating food and making you feel constantly hungry all the time. Right? It's almost like if you're driving your car and your gas tank is full and your car is sputtering because you need to go put additional gas in it. It doesn't make any sense. But you'd want to tune your car up, right? The same with our body. So, the obesity code diet was working for me, but very, very slowly. And I had a really hard time sticking with it. If you've ever had this issue, this is what happened to me. I'd be like, okay, today I'm going to fast. Right. And so the obesity code diet consists of intermittent fasting, right? Which means you fast for a period of hours and then you eat for a small window of time and then you fast for another period of hours. And so it might be where you fast for 16 hours, you eat for 8, and then maybe the next day you fast for 24 hours and you eat for 4 hours. So you can kind of change it up. And I like changing it up. That really works for me. Um, so, and then the food that you eat when you're eating, it doesn't necessarily have to be low carb, high fat, but you'll get faster results that way. So in the book, he explains like some people eat a donut every day and they still lose weight doing intermittent fasting. When you have this much weight, typically people are insulin resistant. And I do want to preface this like I am sharing my experience, right? I am not a doctor. I'm not giving you health advice. I am sharing what has happened for me. So, what I found is that typically people are insulin resistant when they have this much weight. And so, the way to kind of change how the insulin is working in our body and how our body perceives it is to keep insulin levels really low. And eating a low carb, high fat diet helps keep the insulin levels really, really low. So, so like I said, I could eat a donut, right? But I won't lose weight as fast because of the level of insulin resistance. So, I understood all the science, right? I read the book. I'm intelligent. I get it. I'm making some progress. However, I'm not making very much progress. Now, why is that? Right? Because there's things where I'm like, I'm going to go eat a donut. Why am I eating a donut? I know I don't want to eat a donut. I know that I want to achieve this weight loss. And so in working with that coach, I found out that the reasons that I couldn't let the weight go were not because like they were because of what I was eating, but what I was eating was not the problem. That was a symptom of the real problem, right? So I would go and eat a donut. Why? Because, oh my God, I was stressed out. Oh my gosh, I had an argument with my parents. Oh my gosh, this thing is going on. I don't know how I'm going to pay my debt off, right? Those things were causing me to turn to food for comfort. And that was a symptom of the deeper problem. And the deeper problem were the limiting beliefs I had, the negative self talk I had, and the negative emotions. Those are all things that were installed over my lifetime. Maybe they were coping mechanisms, lots and lots of reasons for those things being there. And I was sitting here trying to use my conscious mind, right? My intellectual mind to overpower my unconscious mind, right? Because my unconscious mind was like, hey, she's alive. This program that we are running is 100% successful because we measure success in is she alive or is she dead? So since she's alive, every program that's in her brain, right? All those limiting beliefs, all those negative emotions, all that negative self-talk, that is awesome because she is alive. So we are going to do everything we can to keep that in place because that program is successful. And so when you're trying to use your conscious mind to brute force your way over the unconscious mind, like for me, what I found is I felt burnout, I felt shame, and um I could do things for a while, right? Just be about it, and then I couldn't do it anymore, right? So I do really good for like a week, and then I'm over here eating 3 donuts and a slice of cake and, half a loaf of bread, right? And not because I'm just like out of control ridiculous, but because I'm trying to push through my unconscious mind's program and not instead of reprogramming it. So I worked with this coach and we reprogrammed my unconscious mind essentially. It released a lot of those negative things. And, I was having discussion with someone today and they're like, "Oh, that's got to be hard. That's got to be a lot of work." I guess if you want to say that it is, it's not. It really is not. Right? It is as difficult as we believe that it is. And so I had rapport with the coach. I opened up. I was receptive. We did the work and it literally was instantaneous that all of a sudden things were easy. All of a sudden, right? We released those negative programs so that a new program could be installed. And that day I left his office and I only lived an hour and a half away and I was in 3 hours of bumper to bumper traffic. And I remember sitting there like a total goober, like smiling in my car. I was like, and then I went to Target when I got home and I was like, and I remember this one guy was really annoyed at me because I was just so flippin' happy. I couldn't stop smiling for a week. And I didn't eat that day, and because I was rushing and I was worried about my IBS, right? I was worried my irritable bowel syndrome would mess up me being able to get there on time. So I hadn't eaten that morning, and so I was like, "Well, let me see how long I can go." And I went 5 days, you guys. I went 5 days of fasting. Like it was so awesome because it was so easy. Excuse me. I went out to dinner with friends and they all had sushi and desserts. And I was like, I'll just take a cup of miso soup, right? Just some broth and some green tea. And it was like, I'm so glad you guys are having that. I hope it's delicious. I bet it's wonderful. And I'm super happy and satisfied. And I don't feel compelled to get that. Right. And in the past, I would have been sitting there at dinner being like, "Okay, you can't eat that. You're the fat girl. They're going to judge you for eating too much. Oh, you better not order a dessert because they're all going to be like, that's why she's fat." Right? That's what it would have been my narrative. And I would have been beating myself up over and over and over until finally I would have hit a critical mass where I'd have been like, I'm just going to order this stuff. I can't handle it anymore. Right. And it was just an awful experience. If you've ever been there, I'm sure you can relate. And so it was just easy. And I just kept fasting. I broke my fast after 5 days and I had a high fat, low carb meal and I just kept going. And within a month, I had lost 20 pounds. Within 3 or 4 months, I'd lost 80 pounds. And it was just easy. But here's the other thing that happened. And I do want to do a whole show just about the health stuff. Every single, and I'm not kidding you guys. Every single health ailment went away. That morning that I went to his office, I used my handicap placard to park my car. That was the last day I ever used my handicap placard ever. Ever. In fact, I have a few videos where I've shredded the handicap placard. Now I live in a different state. I didn't even get a handicap placard. I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't need the energy for that from that. But I absolutely needed it and used it the whole time that I had it because I was super jacked up. And so that's how I lost a lot of the weight. And I still enjoyed things, right? Every once in a while I'd get a dessert. I'd eat my high carb or high carb, high fat, low carb meal. I'd have my little dessert at the end. Maybe I'd have some drinks too, right? I had some fun. I was dating. I was going out with my coach and hanging out with him and his friends and going out with my friends and it was super fun. Um, and so I still enjoyed my life a lot and the weight just dropped off. And that was really, really awesome. Now, at some point, I hit a plateau. And so we're going to fast forward now from 2019, right? This is December 2019, January 2020 is kind of where I hit the plateau to now. So this is May 2023. this year, last year, I started eating poorly again. I was going through some emotional stuff, right? And I was in a bad relationship. And I ended up gaining some weight in that relationship. And then I got in this relationship, and this relationship's really, really great. But we like to hang out, we like to drink, I'm making poor choices on my food. And so I've had to examine and look at and I end up gaining about 20, 25 pounds. And I had to examine, oh, you know what? Like we cleared all the stuff, all the emotional junk, right? And limiting beliefs and all those mental things that were in there, right? We cleared that program down to about 200 and 220 pounds. There's something else there. There's something else to let go. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to do that work, right? And let that stuff go. And it's so funny because now, not necessarily funny, it's more curious. Now, there's times where I want to fast. Like this morning, I fasted and I just decide, and it's very easy, right? But I also recognize there's something there at that 200-pound mark mentally where I'm like, very curious. Let's get in there and let's figure it out. Right. And I know I can do it. And in the past, I would have been beating myself. Oh my God, you gained 25 pounds. Oh my God, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Got to not make it wrong. Sorry, I've got 2 French bulldogs in here visiting me right now. They pushed my office door open. And they're making some French bulldoggy noises. So just so you guys know, in case you hear them. All right, so that's what I'm dealing with now. But here's the thing. Now I have the tools, right? I have the awareness, right? And most of us that are overweight, we have the awareness, right? That there's an issue. We know it's probably emotional. But I also have the tools and I have a track record to know what worked. So the other thing is I wanted to talk about exercise a little bit. Back when about a month before I did the like the snap your fingers kind of work where those negative things were gone, I started walking with my friends. And I got to a point where I was walking 1 to 2 hours a day every day and then doing stretching. I don't do cardio. Cardio is great for people that like to do cardio. I just don't. And I did that like clockwork. It was very easy to do every day. I just got up and I did my walk. Until last year, I went through some really tough stuff and I got out of practice. So now I'm back at it. And again, it's that thing where it's like it gets to a place that yes, it's very, very easy for me to decide now, but I had to clear all of that mental stuff out and I couldn't do it myself. I needed someone on the outside to help me do it. And I tried therapists, I tried medication, I tried psychiatrist, I tried psychologist. That stuff didn't work for me. In fact, when I first started doing this work with coaches, my therapist at the time, I remember we had this meeting and he's like, Jennifer, you were making so much progress doing this other work. He's like, I'm a distraction. I can't give you this level of transformation anyway this quickly. He's like, you should just keep doing what you're doing in the coaching world and you don't need to worry about therapy. And so we stopped working together. He's really wonderful, wonderful man. And I'm really grateful that he did that and that he said that and that he could recognize that, right? His ego wasn't in the way. So that was really a beautiful thing. So, what am I doing now to kind of manage everything, right? Because I'm still very vibrant. I still have a lot of energy. I can move, right? Today I went on an hour and a half hike. Yesterday I went on an hour and a half walk, right? Super fun. Totally enjoyed that I can do all that. I went skiing this year. I never imagined I would be able to go skiing. I have been running, right? Like, I was running up to a 5K, but now I just run like short, short, short distances. I go on chainsaw in the forest and stuff. Like, it's so cool. I have a truck that I have to like jump up to get into. Like, I never thought I could do that. I walk on stairs. It's so funny at this conference. People are there that were friends of mine for a long time. And we'd come up to a set of stairs. It was at this beautiful location, JW Marriott in Scottsdale, lots of stairs because it's kind of tucked in the foothills of this like little hill, little mountain. And we'd come up to some stairs. They're like, oh, Jen, do we need to go a different way? And I'm like, hell no. I'm like, let's go on the stairs. I can go on the stairs now. Like, I love that I can go on the stairs. Every time I walk on stairs, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you that I can go on stairs. So it's really, really cool. So even though I haven't finished losing the weight as much as I would like, and that's because really I want to be able to move in certain ways. I'd like my clothes to fit in a certain way. Don't want to be a stick figure, but I have an idea of what I would like to look like and where I want to go as far as mobility wise. So there's still some things I want to do. And I also recognize that those negative emotions, negative self-talk, and limiting beliefs that are keeping me around that 200, 220 mark are probably interfering in other things in my life, right? My business, my relationships, my health, right? Other areas that those things are interfering. So I definitely want to move those things out. And that's why I continue to do work with coaches to this day. And I probably will until I'm no longer on the planet. I'll probably keep working with coaches. However, there are some other things that I'm doing that are very, very helpful in keeping me in this vibrant, energetic state where I can show up. I can get a lot of stuff done. I do a lot of things. Um, and I think I do them, way better than I was when I was super sick. So, a couple things I want to share with you. I still do intermittent fasting. I'm not as great with it, as dedicated with it. And that's okay, right? I still use it a lot. Like yesterday, I wasn't feeling so great at the conference. I ended up eating 3 meals. I don't, t- I very, very rarely eat 3 meals anymore, 3 meals a day. And so this morning I was like, you know what? I'm going to fast because I want to feel good. And I know that I feel good when I'm fasting. So I just decided. So this morning, everybody's having breakfast and I had my black coffee. I like black coffee. I used to have my coffee with like all kinds of stuff in it. Now I just drink it black. Um, and that was fine, right? Nobody makes a deal about it anymore. Or maybe they do and I just don't notice. I don't know. Um, so I still do intermittent fasting. I still love eating low carb, high fat. Like at the conference today, when I broke my fast, you better believe I made this beautiful Caesar salad. I put there was sea bass. I got every single meat they had. They had 3 meats. I was like, I'm trying every single meat. I want to try all of them because they're super delicious. Um, so I still do that, right? And I always feel really good when I'm doing that. Um, and I don't do it all the time, right? Sometimes, like we had birthday cake at work. I want to say 2 weeks ago, I decided to have a piece of birthday cake. Now, I didn't eat it at the same time as everybody else because I was like, I'm fasting. But I took that birthday cake home and I ate it after dinner. Okay, so I still do that. And if you want to learn about intermittent fasting and low carb, high fat, I highly recommend any of Dr. Fung's books. The Obesity Code and the Diabetes Code are two of his books I've read. I also read Life in the Fasting Lane, which he wrote with the co-author. Any of those books are going to be great. They're going to give you the blueprint for what to follow to do this. Oh, this guy's funny. Let's see. I have subscriber only mode on. What a funny dude. This guy's leaving little mean comments. How fun. You gotta go get a life, dude. All right. Well, we'll remove his little cheesy comments later. Okay, so the other thing that I do is a lot of energy work. I'm like, oh, he's laughing. He's so cute. All right. I do a lot of energy work. And cutting cords, doing some energy hygiene, taking salt baths, things like that I didn't talk about in my blog post. And I'm happy to talk to you about it. People will ask me about it. In fact, all of my friends, they know those things. Uh, like I was at the conference and I was talking with some ladies who I was in a mastermind with, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a little like worn out. It's a little intense being at a conference again. And they're like, have you cut cords, Jen? And they like know all of my things I do. So I do a lot of things, cutting cords, grounding, salt baths. There's lots and lots of things I do to do self-care. Those things help me be able to regulate my energy, help me to show up. So like for instance, yesterday at the conference, I took a little break. I went back to my room. I took a salt bath. I took a nap, right? And that's okay. I got to be okay that I'm going to miss a few things because that allowed me to then to show up in a much, much better way for the rest of the night, right? I was able to network and talk and have a really, really great time with everybody. The other thing that I do besides intermittent fasting and low carb, high fat and energy work that I wanted to share with you are these. Now, you may have seen, if you've ever seen me at an event, you may have seen these patches on my back. I'm going to show you. Hopefully, you guys can see them. They're like little white patches. And I use two different patches from this company called LifeWave. Okay. So that's what they look like. And hopefully, actually, it's kind of fun about this guy. Oh, this is so funny. These guys that are on here. I'm like, at least you guys are on here harassing me and not someone else. Thank you. All right. So, um, these are patches from a company called LifeWave. I do have a site with them. So I'm going to drop the link here with you guys. It is a multi-level marketing company. Um, and I like to say that up front. I was very against multi-level marketing for a long, long time. And then I got into this using these patches. I used them for a full year before I told anyone else about them. So the way they work is they use crystals and a patented technology, and they stimulate the production of a certain copper peptide within your body. That copper peptide is used by your body to create stem cells. So instead of getting a $25,000 injection of stem cells to help rejuvenate you, make you look younger, repair your body, you can use a patch and it just stimulates it naturally. It doesn't put anything in your body. It stimulates from the outside. So it's not like a nicotine patch, right? Where there's chemicals going into your body. It's not like that at all. So it doesn't interfere with any kind of medication or anything like that. And I use them every single day. And I notice a difference. If I don't use them, I kind of feel a little sluggish. I just feel a little more tired. And so they help me feel a lot more vibrant. They help me repair my body. I heal faster. I don't get sick anymore, you guys. I have not been sick in 4 years. Didn't get COVID, don't get the flu, don't get whatever. My boyfriend's been sick. I've kissed him while he's sick. I don't get sick. It's awesome. Okay. And I can attribute it to doing this work and using the patches. They really, really, really help. All right. So that's I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by these guys with their like silly little comments. I'm like, what an existence to have. You have this beautiful life that you can go and be living, and you're over here heckling me on my YouTube channel. Like, good job, bro. All right. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'd love to know if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to have a discussion with you. I'm very accessible on social media. You can find me on any platform. Some of you I've chatted with on Facebook, Instagram. We can chat, etc. I'd be happy to talk with you about these things and talk to you about doing that deeper work, right? In a show like this, it's not really the setting that we can go deep on something like that, but I wanted to give you kind of the broad overview of what I did then to make the change, what I'm doing now, and then what's the other work to still be done so that you can have some ideas for yourself and say, is this something that I want to do? I'm absolutely a believer. I feel like I'm a walking testimonial. At the same time, I understand that like if someone had come and told me any of these things 2 months before I started doing it, I would have scoffed at them. I'd have been like, that's stupid, because I was very on the like, I want to know the science and the intellectual. Unless I see it right here in front of me, I don't believe it, right? And I had to hit a critical mass, right? I had to hit a sort of rock bottom in order for me to actually be receptive and open and willing to do these things. And I remember in working with my coach, especially when it came to the energy work stuff, I was very resistant, judgmental, and difficult. Like I remember the first time he told me to burn this one kind of incense, and I got it on Amazon, and I opened the box and I was like, oh, this smells like old lady powder. And I told him, I said, why are you making me burn this nasty incense, And but I saw it through because I also understood that he had what I wanted, and I knew I just didn't have it and I wasn't figuring it out on my own. And so I went with trust. And at some point, there are multiple points in that um, coaching relationship where I I started feeling the things. I started seeing the results, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this actually works." Because I was very much like, if it's not right in front of my face, I don't believe that it exists. So, um, I came from, you know, a full 180. And so if you want to do any of that work, I absolutely would love to talk to you about it, and invite you to ask me questions. I'm definitely would love to help anybody do this. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back here next week, Tuesdays at 5:28, and hopefully these funny dudes don't join us again. All right. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys back here in a week. Bye.